No, this isn't a great main event. The matchup doesn't even make sense, and Cub didn't need to take this fight. In fact, it's quite a step down for Swanson, especially since he's coming off a fight of the year with one of the most dangerous prospects at featherweight, Doo Ho Choi. But I'm not going to complain about watching Cub Swanson fight. Plus, Lobov is always down to scrap. He'll walk forward hands down just swinging punches, so hopefully, at the very least, it can be just as sloppy and an entertaining brawl. Artem has a 65-inch reach, which is an inch shorter than Demetrius Johnson's reach, who is 2 weight classes below him. On the other hand, Swanson has a 70-inch reach, 5-inch reach advantage, which is significant because I think Artem's biggest issue is trying to land his punches. If you watch Lobov's fight against Alex White, I think it's easy to get the general idea of what a fight with Cub Swanson is going to look like. Lobov coming up short with his punches, while his opponent lands shots, uses movement, and avoids the counters. What I will say is that Artem did very well putting together a game plan and sticking to it against Chris Avila. Sure, Avila is nothing to be excited about, and his signing to the UFC was strictly based off Conor's fight with Diaz, a Dublin versus Stockton angle, but aside from that, I think we did see a little growth from Lobov. Artem stands southpaw. He's a striker with decent grappling and takedown defense, and primarily a counter striker. He'll pressure his opponent and look for the left-hand counter. I think to the casual fan, Lobov comes across, or he sells himself as a knockout artist, but if you look at his record, he has 27 total fights with only 4 knockouts, although his run on The Ultimate Fighter also scored him 3 TKO victories. Lobov throws fast and heavy with the left hand, and if it lands flush, of course he can score a knockdown or a knockout, but it's definitely more likely he's going to win by decision, at least in the UFC. His record currently stands at 13 wins and 12 losses, 4 wins by KO, 2 by submission, and 7 by decision. He also has 1 loss by TKO, 2 by submission, and 9 by decision. So in my opinion, if Artem doesn't knock out his opponent, he'll either win or lose based off of effective volume of strikes. Cub Swanson's entire game plan will be to avoid the counter shots and not let Artem overwhelm him with pressure and volume. What Cub Swanson does best is disguise his punches with kicks, his kicks with punches, his punches and his kicks with level changes, and his takedowns with all of the above. Of course, because of this kind of style, you often see him get hit with straight punches, and I really don't see it being any different in this fight either. I fully expect Lobov to land heavy shots on Cub, but Cub always manages to find his own shots in the pocket. So Artem will land a couple heavy ones, but Cub will come up over the top and land 2 or 3 in a combination. I think what Cub will struggle against the most is probably the straight left of Lobov. Although he telegraphs it and it doesn't land that often, it's still his best weapon. We saw in Cub's fight against Jeremy Stephens, Doo Ho Choi, and Tatsuya Kawajiri that Cub struggled against the simple straight punches they threw. We also have to take into consideration the war Cub had with Doo Ho Choi, a fighter who is much larger than Lobov and likely hits harder. So who knows if he'll be able to recover the same. The obvious disclaimer is that this is MMA and anything can happen. Artem Lobov can land a punch and catch Cub Swanson without a doubt. Cub is dynamic and creative, and that comes at a cost. However, I really doubt that Artem will be able to pull off an upset. Cub's shot selection and creativity is what I enjoy the most, and despite a few counter shots from Artem, Cub will either submit TKO or simply out-volume Lobov to a decision. But I'm looking forward to this one. I really like Artem. He always comes to fight. He wants this fight because he knows Cub is going to throw down in the pocket. So I'm hoping a fluke performance doesn't happen, because if you don't already know, Cub is one of my all-time favorites. I don't ever pick against him, so there is a little bit of bias here, but regardless of bias, I'd have trouble picking Artem Lobov in this matchup. But let me know what you think about this fight down below. Please like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.